So, that last episode, Opium, got a lot of positive feedback. A lot of you liked it. And honestly, I really enjoyed recording it. I enjoyed recording that more than most other episodes. Sorry if I yawn. I don't know why. When I do podcasts, especially later in the night, I run out of my breath. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, people loved that episode. I loved doing it because it was nice and organized. Like I wrote down the script. I felt like a professional. So let's pick up where we left off, guys. So as the smokes filled the room, I saw the adults laughing and having a great time. I saw some of them take out this clear liquid out of this clear glass bottle and start taking shots. The liquid had a very strong smell. I asked one of the adults what it was, and he told me, Arar Sagi. What does this translate to? Well, Arar means sweat, but it could also mean whiskey. Sag means dog. Sagi means of the dog. So this roughly translates to dog whiskey. This is pretty much Iranian moonshine. What do they do? How do they make this? Well, my dad explained this part to me. What they will do, they will take raisins and they'll wait for these raisins to ferment. And after a while, it becomes very, very pungent and it turns into a really nice alcoholic drink. Now, you may be asking me, why were they being so secretive about it? Because in Iran, alcohol is 100% illegal. And the penalty for it is very harsh. Back in the 80s and 90s, punishment was 120 lashes. You would think like an illegal substance like alcohol wouldn't be consumed that much, right? No. Very similar to the Prohibition era, gangsters like Al Capone, Iran has many of their own kingpins. Alcohol smugglers, moonshine smugglers, drug kings. They still exist and they make a lot of money. Iranian moonshine is a cheap way and easy to make. It's also easy to find. But if you want something like Johnny Walker, Blue Label, or some name brand alcohol, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny for that. You could also get those smuggled into the country as there's a serious legal loophole. If you're an ambassador at any of the embassies in Iran, you have diplomatic immunity, which means if you go to the airport, they're not allowed to search your luggage. These guys make a killing bringing in suitcases full of Western alcohol, the top brand drinks you can imagine, and they will sell them to whoever pays the most. I should probably do a full episode on this later, but I'm digressing a little bit much. This episode is about opium, right? Anyway, I asked the children, what the hell are they smoking? It smells similar to what I saw my family smoking back in the US. And they told me it was something called taryak. This is the Farsi word for opium. It's the base substance for the following drugs that you could get: fentanyl, morphine, heroin, OxyContin, you name it. The word opioid comes from opium, but it's not as nearly as dangerous because it's not processed at all, and it's literally taken from a poppy plant, and it's pressed into a black substance. People have been smoking this for thousands of years. So what is opium? What's the textbook definition? Let's take a look. Opium, quote, is dried latex obtained from the seed capsules of the opium poppy, Papaver somniferum. Approximately 12% of opium is made up of the analgesic alkaloid morphine, which is processed chemically to produce heroin and other synthetic opioids for medicinal use and for the illegal drug trade. The latex also has closely related opiates, codeine and thebaine, and non-analgesic alkaloids such as papaverine and noscapine. The traditional labor-intensive method of obtaining the latex is to scratch parentheses, score the immature seed pod's fruit by hand. The latex leaks out and dries to a sticky yellowish residue that later is scraped off and dehydrated. So I'm going to correct Wikipedia here, because whoever did this probably gave a very rudimentary definition. It doesn't need to be immature seed pods. So you will get the best type of latex out of an immature seed pod. But even a mature seed pod, if you cut it and wait for the latex to leak out, you're going to get taryok. It's not going to be as good, but you still get it. So yeah, Wikipedia is wrong. The production methods have not significantly changed since the ancient times. This is fucking true. Through selective breeding of the Papaver somniferum plant, the content of the phenanthrene alkaloids, morphine, codeine, and to a lesser extent thebaine has been greatly increased. In modern times, much of the thebaine often serves as the raw material for the synthesis of oxycodone, hydrocodone, hydromorphine, and other semi-synthetic opiates. Originates from extracting Papaver oriental or Papaver bracteatum. End quote. All right, so I agree with most of the article except for the mature and immature part. Now, selective breeding. Really pay attention to this, because this really comes into play later when I explain the types of opium, okay? Quote again, for the illegal drug trade, fucking Google Docs, bro, you press down, it takes you down 10 pages. What the fuck? For the illegal drug trade, the morphine is extracted from the opium latex, reducing the bulk weight by 88%. It is then converted to heroin, which is twice as potent, and increases the value by a similar factor. The reduced weight and bulk make it easier to smuggle. I want to do an episode later on the synthesis of opium to heroin. Heroin can kill you very easily. You can overdose, all this shit. I've never seen someone overdose on opium. Opium is dangerous, but not nearly as heroin. Definitely want to do an episode about morphine and heroin, how they make that from opium. So, in America, if you wanted to get your hands on some heroin or opioids, it's pretty expensive because the best stuff comes from the Middle East. But if you're in Iran and you want opium or heroin, pretty easy to find. It's pretty cheap. Now, if you're in Iran and you're looking for something like cocaine, it's extremely expensive because the best stuff comes from South America. So it's pretty interesting to see how something so expensive is so cheap here and there, vice versa. So let's talk about the different types of opium. Taryok, standard opium. It's either dark brown or black. You'll usually take the size of about a quarter or a small stick of gum and put it on top of a balfour to smoke. Couple hits of this will keep you high for a couple hours. Okay? Next type, we have sikhi. This is taryok, but it's smoked off of a metal rod and a straw. You're inhaling all the contents directly into your lungs with no filter. You will get more high, but it will destroy your lungs as it is not filtered. Most poor people will smoke opium in this manner. Sukhte, the poor man's opium. After smoking your standard taryok, you will be left with a hardened, burnt residue that kind of looks like hard candy. For a regular opium user, this substance is a waste of their time, but you could still sell it for a decent amount to a newbie. It'll get someone who hasn't done opium pretty high for the first time. I'll have a very funny story about this later. Hold on one second. So, balfour. Let's go over that. The 8 to 12 inch flashlight looking object I spoke about earlier is the balfour. This is what you use to smoke opium. It acts like a filtration device, and it also acts as a means to capture solidified smoke, which turns into crystals. After smoking out of a ball food for weeks, you could open the head of it and scrape the crystals from inside of the ball food onto a pan. If you boil those crystals and skim the substance off the top, you get the king of kings of opium, and that is called shire. So this is the most potent form of opium you can get. It's 100% uncut, and you could only smoke a very, very small amount. It's also extremely expensive. How do you smoke shire? Now, a ball food, you just put a coal about, quarter of an inch on top of the taryok. You take a couple hits, and that's how it works. Shire, I don't know why you need to do it, but you need to smoke it on your side. It's the purest, most uncut form of poppy plant, and it is called negari. Why is it called negari? Because you're taking taryok from a selectively bred type of poppy plant, right, called the negari, and only smoking that to get the crystals out of that. Once you get the crystals out of that, then you smoke it. So let's go over what is negari. It's something that you have to smoke a very specific way. I don't really know why you have to smoke it this way, but you have to lay on your side. From what I heard, you'll get the strongest high from this. Even some of the most hardened addicts cannot handle this. There's a very special ball food with no filter that you use to smoke this, and you do not use charcoal. You use a candle. If you want to watch negari in popular TV culture, you could see the main character of Peaky Blinders smoke negari a few times in the show. I also forgot there's another show on HBO where there's a doctor, and completely forgot the name, but he smokes opium in this way as well. So where can you find the world's best opium? Based off of the people that I asked, let's go through the list. First, you need somewhat of a Mediterranean climate. So you could see ancient sources referencing opium back from the times of the ancient Greeks and Romans. But I ask you again, where's the best opium in the world cultivated? The bronze medalist is India. There are parts of India that are hot, dry, wet, cold. But in northern India, you could find very resilient and potent poppy plants. The silver medalist is yours truly, Iran. You could find opium all over Iran, but the best stuff is from Kermanshah, a city in the southwest bordering modern-day Iraq. Now, the absolute best in the world, and we still don't understand why, is by a long shot, Afghanistan. There's something very special about the climate and soil in Afghanistan that produces the absolute best opium on the planet. You may be asking yourself, hey Mike, isn't Afghanistan a desert? My answer is absolutely not, you fucking idiot. Please don't listen to CNN and the rest of the news sources that tells you Afghanistan's a big desert. It's one of the most lush green, beautiful countries on the planet, and the soil is perfect for harvesting crops, one of them being opium. There's a main reason why we invaded Afghanistan and Iraq. Iraq was for the oil. Afghanistan was for the opium. And if you look on YouTube, you'll find many CIA operatives, ex-CIA operatives, talking about, these mercenary groups like Blackwater and other people going to farmers and having them harvest opium. So check that out. We just hit 14 minutes, so I'm going to be ending the episode now. If you have more questions, I'm going to be making Opium episode 3. I'm glad you guys liked it, and I'll see you next time.